If you say John Ferguson, everybody knows John.
Anywhere you go, if you got your work shirt on, somebody goes, well, how's John? Well, John's good. Oh, we really like John.
What I admire most about John is the way he treated his employees and his customers over the years.
He's so honest with everything he does, and he's so professional with everything he does.
He will be there for you, for your organization, for the community, for neighbors, at a drop of the hat.
I've almost always felt like he's a friend, which is kind of unique in a boss relationship.
The best boss I've ever worked for. He cares about you, do anything for you.
I mean, try to live from example from him. I can't say enough about what he's done to shape me into what I am.
My father was in the air conditioning business, was a manager for another company, and it was his rule in his house that at age 13 you had to have a job. And I could either cut grass or go to work for him, and I chose to go to work for him. This worked for him for a few years. I graduated high school. My dad was retiring. They wanted out of the central air conditioning business. Mike and I bought that for the grand old price of $50,000, which for two young kids, early 20s, that was a lot of money. But we bought that, and so then we were kind of off and running, took their employees, kind of went from 3 of us to about 10 of us overnight, and that was working pretty good.
There is a tornado on the ground near the Sykes Center area in Wichita Falls. Please take cover. 25, that's about 10 city blocks wide. Now it's a big one, Vic.
The tornado came through Wichita Falls, took out 25% of the housing. So we go from 10 to 30. We're doing all this new construction, putting all these houses back together, setting all this defective equipment in, and don't know it until 1980 when we get to start it up. And we have the hottest summer on record at that time. And we're having 100% failures on some product line. Mike and I had to,
They had some issues when he was with another brand that would have put 95% of everybody out of business. They took the responsibility of fixing all the problems that they had with this brand, did not charge the customers anything to fix it. That whole process of the way he goes about taking care of the customer, taking care of the business, taking care of the employees is going forward.
Our wives got jobs. We quit taking pay. We did everything for about 3 years that we could, pay our people, make it right, perform warranty service that really wasn't our fault. The manufacturer wouldn't back us up. And we dug out it, and in 1984, that was when we became a carrier dealer, and that's what saved the company. Because then we had a product that worked, and because our focus had always been give good value at a decent price, do what you say when you say. And we couldn't do that with that one. Once we got Carrier, we were off and running. There was no stopping us. So Mike and I will both tell you, Carrier saved our business.
John and his partners built this business on integrity and honesty, and they've been around as long as they have because they stand by those convictions. Ferguson Veresh is as well known and trusted today because of that very reason, because you can count on them and they'll be there.
John means to the Carrier brand the integrity that you would want from a dealership. He brings everything positive. Anytime there's a problem, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity to figure out how we're going to work this out from both his side and our side. So it's just truly the integrity of him and his organization.
The company's been so fortunate to have a number of employees that were here the vast majority, if not their entire careers. And I think that speaks to the culture of the company, whether it was John or me or Mike or whomever. When you can have long-term employees like that, that says a lot about the organization as a whole, and of course the leadership at the top has a lot to do with that.
Even though we're not family, we seem like a family business. We all take apart ownership of Ferguson Veresh, which came from John. Treat this like you own it. Treat it like it is part of you. And I think that really goes a long way in this community with us.
In smaller communities, it's so important to be there for your neighbors, to be there for your friends, and to be there for strangers. And that is something I know that John Ferguson just embodies. He is someone who is going to be there, is going to support, whether it's Little League, the ballet, the Alliance, museums, whatever it is. If there is a need, he will be there if you call him. No questions asked.
Ferguson Veresh's growth in the future has been laid by the way John has set this whole organization up from day one.
John will always be a part of Ferguson Veresh, even if he's not here. His DNA is the heart of this company, and then we still carry it to this day.